So, when I was a kid, I grew up on picture-finding books. Basically books in which you had to find certain objects or characters hidden in the sprawling pictures. While I probably have more experience with I Spy, the series, my first start, like many others, was looking for a figure by the name of Waldo. Now, I'm going to go over some of the books and video games, which Waldo has 3 console-based video games to discuss, and 6 mainline books. First, a little history though. Waldo was originally named Wally and comes from England. According to the lore, Waldo is a time traveler and a wanderer. Huh. He eventually added some friends to the lineup. A wizard named Whitebeard, Odlaw, which is Waldo spelled backwards, and Woof. Odlaw is weird here as he's the reverse of Waldo. And even his name is just Waldo spelled backwards. Which is kind of wild since he's also called Odlaw in England too. So, yeah, that's fun even though he's still called Wally in England. Come on now. Then there's the Wilma and Wenda thing. This confused me so much as a kid, as Waldo's female friends seem to be called both in some of the books. Turns out, after a passionate love affair with one of the activity books he had, Wilma was replaced with her twin sister Wenda. Weird. I'll be discussing the mainline books here, though, as well as the video games, but I'm going to focus on the older books a bit more. This way, I have a point of reference, and I'll discuss things in order of release, too. So I'll discuss the games when they come out compared to the books. This is going to be partially me reminiscing a lot, so beware. But I'm not doing reviews on the books, just discussing them. I am reviewing the games, however, so let's do this. Let's take on Waldo! Ah yes, we're going to start out with the infamous book of Where's Waldo? His overall first book, and one that was banned here in the USA for kids. Released in 1987, this is Waldo's first adventure. And in about 1993, it was banned from many places due to one hidden scene in the book, which I'm not going to show. I'll describe it, though. There's a little hidden scene of a sunbather getting poked by an ice cream. Yeah, even as a kid, I thought it was wild that this was hidden in this book. The book got banned in the USA, but I think the scene was there because, you know, England has some different views on this kind of thing, if I'm going to be really honest with you. Cultural views and whatnot somehow made it past American publishers. Bet they didn't even find Waldo either. Oh well. This book is one in which Waldo has a bunch of camping gear and is traveling around to different scenes. Not all of which are camping themed though, and he keeps losing his gear, though you find him and his gear throughout the whole book. Things are different now though. Yeah, this book has seen some alterations. Now his friends and their junk come along with the camping gear, and they're hidden in new areas of the book. Yeah, the lady with the ice cream is censored too, by the way. Overall, this book is impressive. It was originally drawn by one guy, Martin Hanford, and man, is he a fantastic artist, all things considered. Ah yes, time to discuss the less controversial Where's Waldo Now? The Red Book, released in 1988, with the first book being colored blue. The second book is just Waldo reading books. A future book would take this concept later on, but for now, you basically have to find Waldo and his missing books. Waldo goes through different periods in time this time around, and many places like Egypt and even space, but they're all places that he's reading about in his books. Overall, the second book is just a step up from the first book, in that Waldo is actually traveling to more wondrous locations. Although, realistically, he's just lost in a book. Ha! Hard to believe this book was originally published only a year later in 1988, but yeah, this is a heck of a step up from just the roaming semi-normal places. Still, both books have plenty of visual gags and jokes, so either book is overall silly and fantastic for kids of all ages and adults too. You know, as long as you get the censored version of the first book. Here we have Where's Waldo? The Fantastic Journey, released in 1989. This is the yellow book and easily the most popular one, with me falling into that pit as well. My favorite book in the series, and not just because it was released the same year as my birth. No, this is just my favorite book of Waldo because the journey is indeed great. Believe it or not, back when I was a kid, I read this book so much I actually destroyed it. And I'm glad to have it back in my collection, although finding Waldo in Barnes & Noble was harder than finding him in the freaking books, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, this is the book that originally introduced Wizard Whitebeard and the concept of magic scrolls, which would end up hidden on every page of every Where's Waldo book moving forward. The wizard himself is a mysterious character, and here he's helping Waldo kind of learn about being a Waldo and finding more out about his role in the universe. This book has Waldo traveling through many weird places and bizarre lands, only to end up in the land of Waldos. This is like the final boss page. The real Waldo in this page actually has his shoe missing, so not only do you need to find his shoe, but you need to identify the real Waldo by finding him with his sock out. What a great book. Now it's time to come to the first actual video game on this list. In 1991, Where's Waldo was released for the NES, made by Bethesda. Yes, the same Bethesda famous for Fallout and Elder Scrolls series. Anyway, this game lives in a bit of infamy that probably doesn't fully deserve. Don't get me wrong, I'm not recommending this game, but it's not so bad that it's unplayable. To start, I did rent this game back in the day when I was rather young, but I do recall the game being semi-difficult for me back then. So let me break it down here. There are a few levels in which sprites and images are randomized and Waldo is hidden somewhere in the image. He's often wearing red in easy mode, but different colors in different, modes. Because yes, there's medium and hard mode in this game. Medium and hard mode also lowers your time limit in even shrinking the cruiser to find him. The picture finds are kind of fun, but there are other mini-games like the cave. Here, you have a super dark cave, and you have to click on where Waldo is as he tries and dodges you. You can then leave, or you can grab an hourglass, which will randomly either add time or take time at random. Cute, given how difficult the game is. Then there's this maze of sorts on the subway level. You have to grab Waldo, his glasses, and dodge Wizard Whitebeard for no particular reason. Why is he evil here? Yeah, they messed up on that one. It's also the hardest minigame too. The last minigame is a slot machine. Easy mode is pretty easy, but medium and hard are incredibly difficult. Especially near the subway. Hard is nearly impossible. But I did manage to beat the subway in medium barely. The issue is the time limit. It counts down and doesn't increase between levels. The damn thing counts down after you find Waldo a bit too. Meaning even if you find Waldo at the last second, you could still lose immediately at the next level. Bonus, misclicking counts down time too. More if you're on harder difficulties. The city and subway are the toughest levels for me personally. Easy mode has some fun to be had despite, the pictures kind of being a mess at times. They look like digital vomit, let's be real here. Still, there's a bit of fun trying to find Waldo, but not enough to get a full recommendation here. And medium and hard are just too difficult. Also, this is supposed to be based on the first Waldo book, but in reality it takes a lot of elements from the third book as well. I wonder if that's going to be a reoccurring theme. And hey, would you look at this? Another video game. Neat. This one is directly based on the third book, and it's better off for it. The Great Waldo Search for the Super Nintendo released in 1992. That's pretty early in the SNES lifespan, while the last game was kind of late in the NES lifespan. But this game was also made by Bethesda. It is an improvement, though. I actually own this one. Got it for Christmas one year, and despite all the improvements, this is also the only game I ever fell asleep while playing. Had a weird dream, too. It was on an inverted colored dock, and I was running to the edge of the dock for some reason. I jumped off the dock and landed into the water while also landing on the floor in real life. Yeah, I was sitting on a chair and slid right off. Whoops. Anyway, this game isn't too bad. It randomizes again, but the sprites are much better this time around. Things are easier to make out, and you collect more than just Waldo this time around. This game also lacks the long-as-hell cutscenes of Waldo walking to each level, like in the original Nintendo version. While that slowdown isn't here, collecting Wolf does get you carpet ride minigames, collecting bones, which is kind of slow, not gonna lie. Faster in expert mode, though. Anyway, your overall goal is to find Waldo in the Magic Scroll, like from the books. This is based on the third book after all. I guess the second book doesn't get a game. You'll also increase time by finding clocks through some of these clocks will make you find some oddball things in the scene for them. For example, if you click on a clock, it'll have you find a soldier with 3 legs or something like that. They also have separate time limits for each level. Hey, this is more like it. The final level, you have to find Waldo without his shoe. The issue is this game is kind of dull. It works, but it's too easy. Or is the hardest game ever, one of the two. Even expert mode can be mind-numbingly easy, but sometimes I swear back in the day, they made it impossible. I recall a couple of times I just could not find Waldo's sock anywhere, and I swear they had completely hidden it behind another Waldo. However, during my more recent run, well, I had no issues. And expert mode was just as easy, though Waldo was behind a few objects every so often. I don't know, it kind of leaves me in a state of not being able to recommend it, but it's not terrible either. It's just overly dull and made too easy with the better picture quality. I just wish it was snappier and there were more levels or more to do, I guess. Alright, after a couple of video games, it's back to the books, and this one I owned as a kid as well. Where's Waldo in Hollywood? Sees Waldo in Hollywood. And it's a massive tour with all sorts of movie sets in 1993. This wasn't my favorite book, but it was a close second. I love this one, not because it takes place in America, but because Hollywood is just a really fun concept in this style of book adventure. This isn't to say that Waldo hasn't been to crazier places per se, but the set and stage gags with the camera and crew, this is really fun. Fun little visual gags and jokes are a part of the fun of Where's Waldo, in my opinion. So that's also something that the games kind of lack. Sure, the second game has some sight gags you need to find, but they aren't super funny and kind of generic, like, you know, the guy with 3 legs or 2 speeds. You actually have genies here, Alibaba being an Ali Barber, or... Wait, they censored that in the newer books? Oh, man. Okay, well, these are pirates with ghosts now. Anyway, you also have Robin Hood actually having a Robin print hood. These are really creative. This is the book that started increasing the amount of characters and junk you have to find, though. The original book had scrolls, keys, film cans, bones, and cameras. You also had to find Waldo, Wenda, Wolf, Oldlaw, and Wizard Whitebeard. You had to find all of this stuff to really complete a page. Overall, this stuff is still fantastic for a Find It book, and I do highly recommend this particular book as well. Even the remake where they censored certain things, it's still fun. They actually censored a page in the 3rd book as well in the newer releases, I noticed. Anything that's kind of like Arabic representation seemed to got cut, and I'm not sure as to why that is, but it is what it is, I guess. Oh yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. I said 3 console releases. This is not a console release, but I'm still going to talk about it anyway. So, a PC game is next, huh? Yeah, I had no clue this existed either, outside of some online Waldo images that I literally thought were fake. Nope. Yeah, this PC game is called Where's Waldo at the Circus, released in 1995. It's an educational game in which you look for Waldo in puzzle pieces. Actually, if you don't find the puzzle pieces and clues hidden in the hide-and-seek areas first, you lose them until next playthrough. The playthroughs are randomized too, so no adventure is completely the same. You basically have to find Waldo, as well as play minigames to help the circus folks out. In my particular playthrough, I had to find a missing whistle, which was stolen by a monkey for no particular reason. Yeah, not the best story. Still, this was somewhat fun, and once I got DOCSbox working, this was an entertaining piece of Waldo's history I missed growing up. I'd recommend it if you can get it working. And in 1996, there was another PC game that seemed like it was more of the same with the other PC game. This is Where's Waldo Exploring Geography, or at least it would be, but I couldn't get DOSBox running without some huge computer errors, so I guess this game escapes my review for now. I'm guessing it was semi-educational, and it was probably, again, a lot like the circus game, so there we go. I'd recommend it if I could get it running, probably, because the last one was fun, and that's about all I got here. Ah yes, another book-based adventure for Where's Waldo. Interestingly, this one is less on historic books and more on just unique stories. Where's Waldo, the Wonder Book, released in 1997. This book is one of the newer ones, but it's still released in the 90s, so I was kind of shocked. There are a couple of different pictures here, but this one was after my time with the Where's Waldo series. Still, some of the scenes here are really cool, and it's a shame I didn't see them in the 90s. Like the land of Odlaws and the land of Wolves. I'm glad Wolf and Odlaw get their proper lands, and there are a few other areas that are really cool in this book, but overall, I don't think it holds up as well as the other books do, particularly compared to Hollywood and the Great Waldo Search. Still, this book is really fun, so I kind of recommend it after looking through it and finding Waldo. 2006, and yes, that's a hell of a jump. 2006 from, 1997? Jeez Louise. 2006 saw the release of Where's Waldo the Picture Hunt. The point here is not only to find the junk and characters, but match pictures that Odlaw stole in the first image. This is fun, and I like the scenes more in this book than in the Wonder Book. So yeah, I give this one my recommendation. There are also some fun games thrown in here and there. There's a few spot the difference pictures that were scattered within the book, which is a fun distraction from the normal pages of finding Waldo and his friends. Overall, a very simple concept and nothing too special here, but the scenes are fun and well drawn, so as I stated, I do recommend this one. The last of the mainline books, and the only one that I don't have a copy of, because Barnes & Noble didn't have it, yeah, this is heavily inspired on drawings, ironically enough. Some of these scenes are actually from other books, though, too. Released in 2009, Where's Waldo, the Incredible Paper Chase book sees Waldo lost in some drawings. Kind of even more meta than him being lost in a book, I guess. Still, this isn't a bad book by any means, repurposing some of the images found in some of the lesser-known books that aren't considered mainline anymore. Overall, this was a fun book. Again, there isn't any big story or anything like Hollywood or even the first three books, so some people may view it as a lesser experience. I don't mind, the story isn't exactly why I got into Where's Waldo, but that also gives me less and less to talk about. Still a fun book. This is also the only book considered mainline that I don't own a copy of directly, which really sucks, so hey, here's some screens of the actual book that I found online. There you are. Now that we're through all the books, it's time for the last video game of the list. Where's Waldo the Fantastic Journey was released by Ubisoft and released in 2009 for the DS, Wii, and PC, the same year as The Great Paper Chase. It seems like this game was built for the PC and then ported to the Nintendo consoles as, touch controls and motion controls could easily replace the mouse. I played both the DS and PC version for this review, and I gotta say, out of the actual games, this one is easily the best. This game is basically a remake of the entire third Where's Waldo book, and as such, it does a pretty good job, all things considered. You find Waldo, Wenda, and Wizard Whitebeard. The voice acting is better than the more cartoonish PC games previously talked about, that's for sure, and the game retains the original book's art style, which is awesome. Sorry, trailing off on the presentation. Let's get back on track. The main levels have you finding the three characters and then finding a bunch of other hidden items. Eventually, you'll have to find the scroll at the very end. This is aided by Wolf, the dog, who will sporadically help you out if you have his items. Yes, Wolf has items too. There are other levels though, including figuring out where Wenda has taken pictures in some of the same scenes, and some spot the differences in Wolf's minigames. Odlaw will also show up, and if you don't find him quickly enough, he will hinder your hunting by placing random effects on you. He also has missions where you must find him and a bunch of animals from his swamp. The creatures from the later book, the Wonder Book. Yeah, that's actually kind of cool. These, of course, get progressively harder, and for gaining 5 stars in a mission, you get a small pictured character appearing in the overworld. Overall, this game is easily the best one out of the entire Where's Waldo lineup. If you like Waldo, maybe you should actually try and get your hands on this particular game. It's still pretty cheap, all things considered. Waldo has been a staple in a lot of kids' lives across both England and the USA, even if you only know him as Wally. Waldo may not be as popular as the Beatles, but he is easily one of my favorite things to come out of the UK. along with maybe original Rareware. Overall, the third and fourth book are the ones I like the most, with the others still being a good time, and the games, well, the video games are another matter. The NES and SNES games aren't very good, being overly hard or overly easy, and the PC games are fun and interesting, and not bad if you can get DOSBox working. The 2009 game is easily the best one, however, and if you are a fan of Where's Waldo, you can pick that game up very cheaply. The game isn't uncommon, and not necessarily in high demand, so yeah, the price is like a couple of bucks. Either way, the one game you probably hear about the most is actually the NES game, so I kind of wanted to talk about some of the other games that existed that maybe you haven't heard of. You don't hear about them as much, nor do I see a lot of gaming YouTubers actually talking about the picture books either, so I figured I'd hit both topics. Hopefully you enjoyed my ramblings about Waldo, and I hope maybe I inspired some wonder or even nostalgia from back in the 90s. I deeply enjoyed my delving into the games I played when I was young and experiencing the 3 PC games and the newer books I never knew about growing up. Well, one of those was PC, but then it also hit consoles too. All in all, though, I really did find Waldo. That's all the time I have for this video. If you like my video, please leave a like, comment, hit the bell for live updates, and take care, my minions. Found you, Waldo.